Passengers, this is not a shoe.
How long have you been here, son? Just started, eh?
Yes, sir. 7 years ago.
Afraid I haven't been fully honest with you.
I am Groot.
You don't believe we went to the moon?
Let them fight.
If it's in a word or it's in a look, you can't get rid of the Babadook.
Mr. Mash, it is our first episode of January. Do you know what that means?
It means I'm going to be tortured for another 3 hours?
It's not going to take 3 hours, and you're not being tortured. Secretly, you enjoy it. Tell them what today is, buddy.
The 9th of January.
How do we ring in the new year here at the Bangers and Mash Show?
With a boring podcast that no one listens to?
Actually, lots of people listen to it, JD, and I'm offended by the suggestion that people don't. You're hurting my feelings.
I'll just say it. It's the Phantom Awards.
That's right, it is the Phantom Awards. I'm sure lots of podcasts that come out on a quasi-monthly basis like we do have episodes devoted to year in review. Sure, we could just talk about what movies we liked last year, but that's boring. Who wants to do that? We have a unique program here at Bangers and Mash Show that we like to call the Phantom Award, where JD and I, okay, mostly me.
It's all you. You let me have no part of this. Because you hate confrontation.
That's right, I do. Where I award the best in sci-fi, fantasy, and horror films for the previous year. Welcome, one and all, to the 13th Annual Golden Phantom Awards.
Yes.
I think I explain this every year. I started doing this on my own, strictly for my own amusement, because I really am that nerdy. Back in high school, I think it was my freshman year of high school, 2002, when I started doing the Phantom Awards. 13 years, man. Wow. We've got 12 categories here. What's our first category, Mr. Mash?
Best Actor.
Best Actor. Our first nominated actor is Jesse Eisenberg for The Double. The Double was one of two movies that came out this year about somebody being pursued by a seemingly exact physical copy of themselves. The Double is something of an extremely dark comedy. It takes place in this Kafka-esque office doom world. The sun never shines, it's always dark. Jesse Eisenberg plays very much a typical Jesse Eisenberg type, very anxious and nervous and shy, enamored of the pretty girl who lives across from his apartment. Suddenly, one day, a person who looks just like him shows up. It has all his opposite qualities. He's confident, he's moved with the ladies, he immediately becomes successful and popular at work, and the film becomes this conflict between these two characters that have the same physical appearance. What makes it such a great performance is it's two performances in one. Jesse Eisenberg plays both characters. The Double, it's a wonderful film. It's amusing and it's dark humor. I recommend it. It's a good performance from Eisenberg. What's the next person on our list here?
Chris Evans for Captain America, The Winter Soldier, and Snowpiercer. You can't give an award for two films.
It's my award show. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah, but that makes no sense.
None more. Isn't it funny? The Winter Soldier and Snowpiercer? That's kind of funny, isn't it? We like Chris Evans, right?
Yeah.
And these are both good performances from him. This is his third time as Captain America. He knows what he's doing now. I've always loved him as Cap. Embodies the character. The real performance is nominated for Snowpiercer, which is a really cool, darkly funny, action-packed South Korean science fiction film. A bunch of people on a train. The moment he's getting nominated for this is a moment near the end that I won't spoil too much. It's a monologue where he talks about past experiences on this train. The train's a metaphor for society, man.
Whoa! I never got that painfully obvious metaphor.
Yeah, it's not hidden. It's very clearly what the film is. Great performance from Evans. I think it might be one of his best performances in Snowpiercer. He's really good in it.
I think that in Captain America, Winter Soldier, he really steps up his game.
This is a very conflicted Captain America.
This is a Captain America that has not only lost his time, his love, he has also now lost his government, which is all that he knew.
Has to fight his own best buddy?
Yep.
Yeah, kind of like if I was a super soldier and you were a robot assassin.
I like to think of it as the other way around.
Next nominee for Best Actor is another Chris in another Marvel movie. Chris Pratt in Guardians of the Galaxy. You've seen this one.
I have.
It was good.
It is.
Yeah. Really impressive how James Gunn, as a director, kept his very quirky cult movie sensibility in this big budget, huge blockbuster film. It's such a funny film. It's such a weird film. The characters have all this personality and eccentricity. Let's talk about the lead. Chris Pratt as Star-Lord, man.
It's really the only Marvel movie that 100% falls under the something for everyone category.
Yeah.
It's the space stuff for the space nuts. It has the love interest.
It's got a raccoon in people clothes.
It's got a raccoon in people clothes.
Really funny film. The dialogue is consistently hilarious. The action is great.
And the movie feels nowhere near as long as it is.
The pacing is great. It's definitely one of the highlights of the film. Let's talk about Pratt's performance. I've never watched Parks and Recreation. By all accounts, it's something I would enjoy. From my understanding, he was the chubby comic relief on that. And then in this movie, he shows up and he's got abs. He doesn't lose any of that humor. Another great thing about this movie is that it also has this melancholy and this pathos underneath of it. Star-Lord is essentially a sad child who's never confronted his mother's death, shown by his attachment to this Walkman.
He can be a womanizer.
Yeah, he is.
And turn right around and win her heart.
Great performance, great character. I think Pratt is going to be a pretty big star from here on out. Our next nominee is
Daniel Radcliffe for Horns.
Horns wasn't a great movie. It was a flawed film. Daniel Radcliffe is still working very hard to escape the Harry Potter shadow. It's a really interesting, melancholic performance. Shows his strengths as an actor. He's a guy who's been falsely accused of the death of his girlfriend. And he wakes up one day and he has horns growing out of his head. People, when they stare at his horns, feel compelled to confess their innermost, darkest secrets. Puts a lot of himself and emotions into it. And it's a wonderful performance. And the shame the rest of the movie doesn't really live up to that. I would still say it's a film that's worth checking out. Our next nominee is Andy Serkis for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Getting some mocap up in here.
He played Caesar, right?
Yeah. The main monkey.
The main monkey. Way to be racist, Zach.
He's technically an ape. Andy Serkis is a pretty good actor. He's earned his dues at this point. I know Fox is currently campaigning to get him nominated for Best Actor at the Oscars, which will never ever happen in a million years. Dying of the Sun will occur before that happens.
Probably.
Because the Academy doesn't give a shit about movies with CGI monkeys. The full performance. He's really the lead character of the movie. A lot of conviction and emotion in his performance, even though a lot of it is just sign language. He doesn't even have that much dialogue in the movie. It shows where the technology has come where you can give a fully fleshed out, fully formed performance with motion capture. An actor doesn't even need to show their real face, which makes it all the more impressive in a way.
Yeah, I saw the movie. It's good. I'm not big into the Planet of the Apes franchise. Cool to see this fresh new take on it.
And it's been successful. They're not your typical bang bang shoot 'em up explosions.
Right, no, they've actually got decent story to them.
Slow-paced character stories.
I really like the fact that this time they're going in order.
Yeah, there's no time travel shenanigans in this one.
Instead of backwards, frontward, sideways, diagonal.
Our final nominee in this category is Dan Stevens for The Guest. Now, you didn't see that one. You tried to watch it, but my link I sent you didn't work. I'm sorry, man. I let you down.
Yes, you did.
The Guest is
You should slit your wrist right now.
I don't think I appreciate your tone. The Guest is the latest from Adam Wingard, who directed You're Next. Did you ever see You're Next?
Yes, I did see You're
Okay,
Next.
well, The Guest, a similar tone, where it starts out as one sort of movie, and then it gradually becomes a different sort of movie.
It's like You're Next, where it starts off as a siege movie, then it turns into a vigilante movie.
Sort of. The Guest, it starts out, his family has recently lost their oldest son in the Middle East. This fellow comes to the door, who is claiming to be their son's best friend from when he was in the service. The titular Guest, as played by Stevens, attempts fixing the lives of these characters. He is indeed who he says he is, but he is not a trustworthy person. And there's a lot of action elements. There's a big, spectacular shootout sequence in the middle of the movie. There's a subtle science fiction element. Last half of the film, it becomes a weird, subversive take on a slasher movie. There's a sequence at a Halloween high school dance. Stevens gives a star-making performance in this. He's funny, charismatic, threatening, creepy. Great performance from him. Apparently he's from Downton Abbey. I don't know familiarity with his work before this, but I just loved him in it. Phantom for Best Actor goes to
whoever this paper is wrapped up for is who it goes to. Dan Stevens for The Guest.
Yep.
Ah, woo!
I like, great performance from Stevens, star-making performance. I really like this guy. I'm looking forward to what he does next. I want him to be the next James Bond, truthfully. What's our next category there on the screen there?
Best supporting actor. People that we care about, but not as much.
Well, no, they're just not the leads. Every part of the film
Just
counts.
go with the... You're overanalyzing the joke.
That's what I do. The nominees are Bradley Cooper for Guardians of the Galaxy. This movie has two of the most beloved new characters of the year. The giant tree man who only says 3 words, and his little raccoon buddy. Cooper only has his voice to act with, but Rocket Raccoon is probably one of my favorite characters characters of the year.
Yeah, Rocket's pretty cool.
Rocket's pretty awesome. What's a raccoon? Guardians is a limitlessly quotable movie. Before I saw this, I didn't like Bradley Cooper, but he totally won me over in this. He's awesome as the voice of Rocket Raccoon. The scene where he's had a little too much to drink and he's having his emotional breakdown. Good stuff. Our next nominee is
Bryan Cranston for Godzilla.
A lot of people were disappointed in Godzilla that Bryan Cranston didn't play a bigger role. A lot of people were hoping this was going to be Godzilla versus Eisenberg.
I feel like Bryan Cranston would have stole the show.
He stole the show.
If he would have been throughout the whole movie, would have taken away from the real star, which is
Godzilla. Yeah, maybe that's why they cast Blandy McBlanderston as the actual main character in the film. 6 months ago, everybody was parodying that trailer. It's gonna send us back to the Stone Age! He does a lot of extra baiting. He expels his words a lot. He's a very big performance. It's a lot of fun. It's really in key with the movie.
Perfect. It sets the tone for the film.
Yeah. Next nominee is Gene Jones for The Sacrament. The Sacrament is the latest from Ty West of House of the Devil and The Innkeeper's fame. Found footage type movie. Basically a recreation of the Jonestown Massacre. Are you familiar with that?
No.
Jim Jones ran the People's Church. He was afraid the government was going to crack down on him, so he took his church and went to Africa. When the government found out that apparently people were being kept there against their will, they sent some people to check it out. They shot those people, and then Jim Jones made everybody drink Kool-Aid that was laced with cyanide, and everybody died horribly. Anyway, The Sacrament, you can say it's inspired by that. The character names are different, but it is essentially the Jonestown Massacre. And Gene Jones plays the Jim Jones character. He has to be charismatic to the point where you believe that people would follow him, but you also believe that he would end up doing these very bad things. The last half of The Sacrament, where everybody's dying from the poisoning, is one of the most disturbing things I saw this year. It's a horror film in the truest meaning of the word. So our next nominee is David Koechner for Cheap Thrills. Cheap Thrills is a scrappy little indie about a guy who just recently lost his job, and he goes to a bar to drown his sorrows, meets up with an old high school friend, and in the bar is a very, very rich fellow, that's played by David Koechner, who says, punch that guy in the face, I'll give you $100. Well, shit, I just lost my job, so he does it. Throughout the evening, he gives them more and more money for things that are more and more outrageous. First, it's simply prankish, like break into the neighbor's house and take a shit in their living room. But eventually, things get evil. I feel like it is a metaphor for how the rich in this country take advantage of the poor. It was a big theme in the cinema of the year. Koechner, he has a lot of fun. He's very entertaining in the part. Our next nominee is Michael Parks for Tusk. Hey, you saw this movie.
I did see this movie. There's a lot of
walrus.
There's a lot of under-the-skin metaphors in this movie. This movie gets under your skin?
Perhaps.
Are you not catching what I'm doing?
If you're a walrus.
Are you picking up what I'm putting down?
No, I'm not.
What happens?
The guy gets turned into a walrus. He gets cut up, mutilated, and shit. Kevin Smith has said this movie was essentially made as a showcase for Michael Parks, who's this wonderful character actor who's been around for years. And he has said that Michael Parks, no matter how fucking stupid the movie is around him, always gives 100%. And I think that's a good example, because it's not that Tusk is a stupid movie. I guess it kind of is. But it's just a really unusual film. It's one of the weirder movies of the year. I think
Definitely.
That's fair to say. Parks hits every note. He makes you believe that this is a guy who went out to sea and made friends with a walrus, and now he's desperate for the companionship of this walrus again. But he's really, really crazy.
Sometimes you have to wonder how much of that is acting and how much of that's just really Michael Parks.
Yeah.
Look at the films he's in.
He always has this twinkle in his eye where he could stab you to death at any minute. Does Tusk work 100%? Not really. Is it oddly captivating? Definitely. You gotta respect Kevin Smith never backs away from how weird the story is, and Parks' performance similarly does the same. Our final nominee in Best Supporting Actor is
Craig Roberts for Premature.
Premature.
Ejaculation.
That's exactly right. Basically, Groundhog's Day reimagined as a high school sex comedy. On the day when this fellow, this teenage boy, is to lose his virginity, anytime he ejaculates, the day starts over. Craig Roberts plays his best friend. Now, Craig Roberts previously appeared in a film that I loved called Submarine, directed by the director of one of the nominated films tonight. And that was just a great coming-of-age story. And in this film, Craig Roberts plays the best friend. He's really, really funny. He makes things that would not be funny otherwise really hilarious. There's a sequence where the main character is attempting to bring himself to orgasm so that he may escape a perilous situation. It's not going for him. So Craig Roberts' character begins to whisper through the door, "Ooh, Poppy," and things like that. It wouldn't be funny in any other movie, but Roberts makes it work because he's a really wonderful, talented performer, and he gets all the best lines. He's really the main reason to see this movie.
And the winner for Best Supporting Actor is...
And the Phantom for Best Supporting Actor goes to...
The Tape. Bradley Cooper for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Man, you really do a fucking job on these envelopes.
Well, a real envelope would be better.
Have I impressed on everybody how much I enjoyed Rocket Raccoon? He was great.
No.
Anyway, our next category is...
Best Actress.
Our first nominee for Best Actress in a sci-fi, fantasy, or horror film in 2014 is...
Emily Blunt for Edge of Tomorrow.
Otherwise known as that other remake of Groundhog's Day this year, the one with Tom Cruise.
Otherwise known as Live, Die, Repeat. Because
yeah, which is what it says on the DVD. That's in big letters and then Edge of Tomorrow in tiny letters down at the
yeah,
bottom.
like even Target has it listed on the barcode is Live, Die, Repeat.
I think they realized Edge of Tomorrow was a really lame title. Based off a Japanese novel called All You Need Is Kill, which is a great title. Give me 2 for All You Need Is Kill. They changed it to Edge of Tomorrow, which is a super generic lame title. A lot of people suspect the reason the movie underperformed at the box office. Now they've remarketed it on DVD with the tagline Live, Die, Repeat, which is a better title and a pretty accurate summation of what the movie is. Emily Blunt plays, I suppose, the secondary lead in this. She's sort of the love interest for Tom Cruise, but she is somebody who previously had these experiences that he has. Green soldier who goes in and kills these weird aliens that are invading Earth. Some blood gets on him and he starts to start the day over every time he dies. Emily Blunt's character previously experienced this. She has become a war hero and they call her the Full Metal Bitch. Emily Blunt's a really good actress who hasn't gotten her dues yet. She's been on a lot of stuff people have seen and she's given a lot of good performances, but she still hasn't broken through to mainstream recognition yet. In this, she's really good. She has a wonderful scene where she's killing a bunch of aliens. In the battle scenes, they wear these exosuits. She tears a propeller off an airplane and starts slashing that around like a sword. It's pretty cool. Edge of Tomorrow was good, clever, and I like Emily Blunt in it.
Yeah, but Tom Cruise is unbearable.
This is actually one of Tom Cruise's better performances. Playing a coward at first gives him a more humanistic edge. He's not the perfect, hyper-confident Tom Cruise protagonist.
But it's more like Tom Cruise as himself. He plays a coward.
I don't know.
So who's our next nominee?
Essie Davis for The Babadook. Babadook
It
is
is a very Australian film. I got to watch half an hour.
So you actually did see a little bit of this movie.
I did see a little bit. Still intend to watch the film. Out of the little bit that I saw, it does seem to be properly paced.
Excellently
You
paced.
know, no point in time did I ever say, this is slow and boring.
Even though it's very deliberately paced in that first half.
Yeah.
Should we talk a little about what the movie's about? Essie Davis plays this woman. She's a single mother. She's a widow. Husband died in a car wreck, taking her to the hospital to have her son. His birthday and the anniversary of her husband's death were on the same day. A lot of people have looked at The Babadook and said it's a movie about how much being a parent can suck. And it's partially about that. The little kid is troubled. He's a difficult child. In that first half, Essie Davis embodies the exhaustion. She's in a daze throughout the whole first half of the film, which is the part you've seen. Eventually what happens is one day, the little boy says, before bedtime, read me a story. And he pulls this book off a shelf called Mr. Babadook. Mother's never seen this book before, but she reads it and it tells of a boogeyman, a supernatural entity called the Babadook, knocks on your door 3 times, goes into your house, it drives you insane, and it makes you kill everything you love. And then it makes you kill yourself. And indeed, Mr. Babadook is a real entity and proceeds to drive the mother absolutely insane up the walls. Really, really frightening film. And I don't want to spoil too much since I know you haven't seen all of it. Essie Davis, oh man, she's incredible in this. What a great performance from her.
Yes, I will say that.
Next nominee is
Alexandra Esso for Starry Eyes.
Starry Eyes is another tiny horror movie. You can tell I like these. Alexandra Esso plays a young actress who's living in LA, desperate to break into Hollywood. She gets this audition. She kind of has a meltdown. She starts pulling her hair out. The auditioner said, ooh, we like that. We want to see you do that again. And eventually it becomes apparent that the studio is run by some sort of cabal are interested in making her literally sell her soul. And it's a not too subtle metaphor for the way that Hollywood takes young actresses and chews them up and spits them out. This is another soul-bearing, very intense performance. Somebody who is very troubled mentally. Really good performance here. Check out Starry Eyes. Wonderful performance from her. Next nominee is Ava Green for 300, Rise of an Empire. Was 2014 the year of Ava Green starring in mediocre sequel to Frank Miller movies?
Yes!
She was in this and Sin City 2. And I have to say that 300 2 is much, much better than Sin City 2. In both films, Eva Green, who is a fantastic performer, wonderfully charismatic actress, dominates the screen anytime she's on it. And in 300 especially, the whole movie is about her and her stupid, lame, boring male co-star. He's one of these buff, bald Australian actors that Hollywood keeps putting in movies for some reason. And the whole film is just her owning him hard. Nobody gives a shit about this dude, and she is so incredibly interesting and sexy and talented and charismatic and demanding of your attention. Why are we even bothering with this other guy? Just make the movie about her. Keep hoping that one of these days Ava Green will get a good star role where she doesn't have to play second fiddle to some douchebag. Our next nominee is
Scarlett Johansson for Lucy and Under the Skin.
It's another double nominee. Look at that, I did it twice.
I know, you bastard.
You've seen one of these movies.
I have.
Lucy was one of the biggest surprises of the summer. I don't think anybody was expecting the movie to be what it was.
Which is a big mindfuck, I know.
Everybody went in like, this is going to be Scarlett Johansson, hot girl shooting people, right?
At one point in time, it's very character study-esque. Focuses really hard on who she is.
Super normal Mick protagonist.
Right. Then it kicks into Scarlett Johansson has superpowers. You think that would be it. But oh no, the movie
goes to some very cosmic places, and the truest meaning of the term goes way, way out there. Oh man, the balls of this thing.
I don't know about you, but I feel like my brain actually hurt.
That was a switcheroo this movie picked on people, and weirdly it actually worked, because this movie was a surprise hit. Scarlett Johansson is a legitimate action hero movie star now.
Am I exaggerating when I say my brain hurt after seeing this movie?
I think if you go in expecting it to be just a dumb shoot-'em-up action movie, yes, what it becomes will be very surprising. Somewhat similar to Under the Skin. Under the Skin is 100% art house. In Under the Skin, Scarlett Johansson plays an alien who comes to Earth with the mission of abducting men and doing something with them. It's never really explained. She's
raping them.
No, actually, I bet a lot of people rented this movie just to see ScarJo naked, and boy, are they in for a surprise. Weird things happening that don't really make any sense or are never explained. Johansson in both Lucy and Under the Skin was a very similar character. Emotionalist, very controlled and human. And these performances complement each other nicely. Johansson got a lot of shit for a lot of years.
Just a pretty face.
Yeah, incredibly attractive, but she doesn't really have any talent. Over the years, she has proven herself to be a strong actress. She's going to win an Oscar one of these days, and that's going to happen, right? The next nominee on our list is Aubrey Plaza from Life After Beth. Isn't it funny that after Shaun of the Dead, the Zom rom-com has become a thing?
I don't know that Zom rom-com is right for Shaun of the Dead.
And Life After Beth perhaps is a more typical explanation of a zombie romance. Guy's girlfriend dies, that's Beth, and then she comes back, and at first it's great, but then she begins to act different. It makes this movie funny. It's not he's in love with a zombie. You get it, guys? It's a metaphor for a relationship that won't die. What's really funny is the way this subverts the expectations of the zombie apocalypse. For example, the zombies in this movie really like smooth jazz, and they really like addicts. Plaza, she's great with what she does, this very dry comedian. I like her. She's funny, she's cute, she's good in this movie. Check it out.
And the winner of Best Supporting Actress.
The Phantom goes to...
Oh, gee whiz.
Cheese whiz.
Goes to the tape again. That might almost be in one, but nope. Essie Davis for the Babadook.
I don't know if she's going to go on to mainstream exposure, but she deserves to because she's a wonderful actress in this. Next category is
Best Supporting Actress.
For those actresses that aren't the lead.
For those actresses that we don't care as much about.
Nah, that's not true. The first nominated actress for Best Supporting Actress is
Ko Ah-sung for Snowpiercer.
Ko Ah-sung, I think is maybe how you... It's a Korean name.
Ko Ah-sung for...
She was the Korean...
Snowpiercer. You know, she's the Asian chick in Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
The psychic.
I guess she's sort of psychic, though not in a way that's really useful.
She can tell what's on the other side of the door.
True, that's true. Anyway, Ko Ah-sung, this is weirdly her second Phantom, because she was nominated for the previous movie she did with this director called The Host, which is a really great take on the kaiju movie. You should check The Host out. If you like Snowpiercer, you'll like The Host. Ko Ah-sung is a really talented actress. I've seen her before. I like her. Good in this. She's sort of spaced out throughout half the movie on drugs. She starts out as a person with no investment in the social struggle the film is built around that slowly develops an investment in. And by the way, Snowpiercer full of great supporting actresses. Tilda Swinton, Alison Pill. It really was tough picking one performance out of all the wonderful supporting actresses in Snowpiercer. Great ensemble cast in that. Next nominee is Brooke Butler for All Cheerleaders Die. All Cheerleaders Die is the latest from Lucky McKee, a filmmaker I've been a big fan of, and honestly, it really let me down. Disappointing film. Something All Cheerleaders Die does have is a predominantly female cast. Brooke Butler's character is interesting. The movie is about cheerleaders who get killed and then come back as weird zombie witch things and proceed to take their revenge on the people who wronged them. Brooke Butler starts out as a stereotypical dumb blonde who, after coming back from the dead, develops nuances.
This isn't the Brooke Butler we went to school with, is it?
I don't think so. We went to school with Brooke Butler?
Yeah.
I don't think it is, but I don't remember the one we went to school with, so maybe? It's a likable performance in a film that I didn't really care for.
Hey!
Our next nominee is...
Jacqueline DeBurr.
Jocelyn.
Or Jocelyn, whatever her name
DeBurr
is.
In...
Dead Snow 2, Red vs. Dead.
Did you ever see the first Dead Snow, the
Nope.
zombie Nazi movie from Norway? Well, this is the sequel.
Nope, didn't
And
see it either.
It's a much more ambitious film. As the title implies, yes, there are zombie communists versus zombie Nazis, and it's awesome. The guy gets his arm switched with the arm of the zombie Nazi general. Now he has an evil arm that gives him super strength, and all of this stuff is really, really amazing. But the part of the film this nomination is concerned with is the American zombie squad finds these American teenagers and says, hey, come over here to Norway and fight these zombies. And he's expecting them professionals, but they're stupid teenagers. Jocelyn's character is really enthusiastic about hunting zombies, doesn't really realize how totally out of her element she is. A really funny performance. Weirdly, an English language performance in a Norwegian film. I think you would really like the Dead Snow films. So our next nominee is Mackenzie Foy for Interstellar. Interstellar was a controversial film. It was divisive, though I thought it was brilliant. We're not Chris Nolan psychopants here. Mackenzie Foy plays Matthew McConaughey's daughter as a young girl. A lot of people criticize the parental subplot of this movie as overly sappy. Yeah, fuck those people, because I really liked it. I thought it was really touching, and how she simultaneously obviously cares greatly for her father, but she's also angry with him because he's leaving her, going on this interstellar voyage that he likely will not return from. Mackenzie Foy is one to watch. She gives a strong performance here. You should see Interstellar. It's good.
Our next nominee is Mia Wasikowska. Sorry.
Wasikowska?
Why do you give me the hard names?
I did it on purpose. Oh, you fucker.
I hope it hurts forever. For Only Lovers Left Alive.
Who's nominated again?
Maya Wasikowska.
What's the movie?
Only Lovers Left Alive.
This is that vampire movie with Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston.
Does Tom Hiddleston play a vampire?
Yeah.
Man, didn't see that coming. Does he play the Master Evil vampire?
No, this is not that kind of vampire movie. In this movie, the vampires kind of hang out. There's no fangs until the very end. There's very little blood sucking. It uses the vampire as a metaphor for somebody who's seen it all and worn out with life. And in it, Maya Wasikowska, who won a Phantom last year for Best Actress for Stoker, plays Tilda Swinton's little sister. Oh, she's a scamp. She gets into trouble and she does things he'll check off from Star Trek, the new Chekhov. I just love Maya. I'll watch anything she's in. And she's really entertaining in this. Different performance for her, where she usually plays controlled characters. In this, she gets to really cut loose and play a crazy character. Next nominee is Emma Watson for Noah. Did you ever see Noah?
No.
Noah is a real interesting film. This reinterpretation of the biblical story. There's this amazing sequence halfway through the film. After Noah and his family are on the ark, he proceeds to tell them the story of creation. It starts with the creation of the universe, shows the creation of the earth, creation of the moon, animals slithering in the ocean and crawling out of the ocean and evolving into apes, evolving into man, and then it shows the wars and the murder and all the horror that men has committed. Because in this film, Noah comes to the conclusion that humanity is evil, and after God has destroyed humanity, well, the creator, they never call him God, he's always the creator. After the creator has destroyed humanity, they'll be the only one left, and then after they die, the earth will be unspoiled again. In this film, Noah becomes this nihilist who has to learn to love again, man, but it's less trite than I make it sound. Emma Watson plays the wife of one of the sons. She's a talented young actress, this Miss Watson. We've seen her in stuff before. She becomes pregnant, and Noah says, I will kill your children when you give birth to them. He's under the belief that the creator has chosen him, not because he's a nice guy, but because he says, I'm the one who can get the job done. I'm the one who can listen to all the people dying on the outside of the ark as they're being drowned. This is a dark interpretation of a story that I think people are used to, just like cute animals on a boat. Emma Watson's good in it. She has a wonderful scene where she's crying over her newborn children. I spent more time talking about the movie than I did about her, but whatever. I'm telling you, this movie's far out.
So it actually goes into crazy Noah stuff.
It goes into like the weird Bible stuff, the stuff that's in the Bible that people don't like to talk about because of how uncomfortable it makes them.
Wow. Maybe I do need to see this movie.
You do. Those are our nominees for Best Supporting Actress.
And the Phantom Award goes to The Tape. Again.
I love how this has become your job. You never asked me to open the envelope.
You're too prissy about it.
Whatever.
Mackenzie Foy for Interstellar. That movie that no one cares about.
That's not true. Lots of people cared about it. It's all the internet talked about for like a month. This category is Best Ensemble. Our first nominee for Best Ensemble is Automata, starring Antonio Banderas.
Antonio Banderas.
Set in the future where Earth is succumbing to pollution. We've built a bunch of robots. So a group of robots decide, yeah, you suck, humanity, and break the rules that are programmed into them. Go out into the desert, build their own city. Antonio Banderas plays an insurance enforcer for the company that builds the robots to make sure that they don't go crazy and kill anybody. The cast I want to talk about is the robots. Those are the most interesting characters in the film. One of them is the sex robot, develops a conscience. I don't really know who the voice actors who performed the robots are. They're not credited on the IMDb. They're way more interesting than some of the human characters. Banderas is good. Notably, his ex-wife, Melanie Griffin, is in the movie. She's terrible. I don't want to talk about her. Robert Forster is in the film. He's great.
What's the next nominee, Zach? Is it Big Hero 6?
It is Big Hero 6, and I really like the cast in this. I think the voice cast is the main reason the movie works. I did a real good job. I don't remember the name of the guy who voiced Baymax, but another one of the most lovable characters of the year.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You saw this one.
I did see this one.
Baymax is great. Fred is great. Fred voiced by TJ Miller. Super Jump, Fire Breath. That'll make sense to people who've seen the film.
Hand lasers.
He's like the comic book nerd who gets to become a hero. Notably, Damon Wayans Jr. is Wasabi. Jamie Chung is Go-Go. The characters are the main reason this movie is worth checking out. All of them are really lovable.
So you know what another far-out movie was this year?
What's another far-out movie this year?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
And we've already talked about it. This is an ensemble film.
Yeah.
I mean,
this one won, didn't it?
Even though Star-Lord is the main character, this is a wonderful cast. Who would have thought Dave Bautista would be a compelling screen presence?
Dave Bautista?
I don't follow wrestling, but his whole shtick like The Rock, but not as good, right?
Yeah.
But he's funny in this. Nothing can go over my head. My reflexes are too fast. I would catch it. Deadpan humor. Vin Diesel is Groot, who makes a fully formed, lovable character, maybe one of the most lovable characters of the year, with just 3 fucking words.
And he manages to sell it.
John C. Reilly is hilarious as one of the Nova. I don't believe anybody's 100% a dick. I'm assuming most of you have seen it. Our next nominee is Hercules. This is the other Hercules movie, not the one with Kellen Lutz.
That was Legend of Hercules.
Yeah, that was the shitty one.
You know, it wasn't a horrible movie, but it wasn't good either.
Hercules is a throwback to the action special effects movies of the late 90s, early 2000s, like Men in Black, or the Stephen Sommers Mummy movies, I think is a particularly apt comparison. It doesn't take itself super seriously, like so many blockbusters do. It has a sense of humor. I like Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne, please don't call me The Rock Johnson. He's a lot of charisma, and this is a good performance of him, because he gets to make jokes. Too frequently, he's cast as an action hero, and he's just grim and serious and killing people. Ian McShane is in this. He plays the Prophet. Has a wonderful closing line. There's this really hot Norwegian chick with a bow. John Hurt's in this, too. John Hurt's in all the movies this this year.
Did he die in this one?
I think he did. Rufus Ewell from Dark City. Completely unrecognizable. This Hercules was a lot of fun. Our next nominee is
Snowpiercer.
Now, I already talked a little bit about what a wonderful cast this one has. John Hurt's in this movie, too.
Okay, so how many movies is that?
He was in a lot of stuff this year. Obviously, I already talked about Tilda Swinton, who's great as the voice of the bourgeoisie in this. Alison Pill is wonderful as the preschool teacher who's super preppy and upbeat. Loved her. Ed Harris shows up at the end as, I guess, the main villain, you would call him.
He was cool.
And the Korean guy was cool. The locksmith.
Yeah, he was cool.
I don't know the actor's name, but I'm pretty sure he was in The Host as well. Wonderfully cast film. And then our last nominated film for Best Ensemble is
X-Men, Days of Future Past.
Now, whatever you think about the X-Men movies, and they are of varying quality. Some of them are quite good. Some of them are not so good.
Talking to you, Wolverine Origins.
They all have solid casts. They always get a good group of characters together, usually.
Uh-huh.
This one is especially notable because it has all the people you liked from X-Men First Class and all the people you liked from the original X-Men series in one movie together. Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Halle Berry, if you care about her, Shawn Ashmore, Ellen Page, Michael Fassbender, and James McAvoy, Jennifer Lawrence, that little guy from Game of Thrones, Peter Dinklage.
Please edit out that little guy from Game of Thrones. Yeah, it's a great cast, including Halle Berry.
Oh, and I liked Fan Bingbing as Blink.
Blink was awesome.
Anyway, so the winner is... Open up the damn envelope, JD. What's taking you so long?
And the Phantom Award goes to...
I don't appreciate it when you make fun of me like that.
I appreciate it when you make me have to deal with this fucking tape. Would it hurt to pick up a $2 box of envelopes?
And the Phantom for Best Ensemble goes to...
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, yeah, I mean, what else was going to win? Our next category is Best Director. Richard Ayoade for The Double.
Dubra.
This movie has a really strong look. It's primarily in black and gray, and has this very oppressive look. Richard Ayoade is primarily known as a comedic actor, but he has a wonderful visual sense. The next nominee is Gareth Edwards for Godzilla.
Enough said.
The direction in Godzilla was great. Edwards has such a talent for capturing the scale and the enormity of these monsters. That scene early in the film, Ken Watanabe discover this collapsed hill. That is such a striking shot. The movie is full of shots like that. Godzilla over the Golden Gate Bridge. This movie is pretty. Best looking summer blockbusters this year.
There is one minor complaint.
Oh, what's that? Cutting away?
No, I can wrap my brain around that.
He was doing a thing with the cutting away.
It wasn't to save money or whatever. It was to keep us wondering when are we actually going to get to see them fight. Scenes in the movie that take place in the dark.
Well, you think they're too dark?
But I think they're too dark.
We really like the direction in Godzilla, though.
Yeah.
So the next nominee is...
Bobcat Goldthwait for Willow Creek.
That Bobcat Goldthwait. He made a horror movie this year. He made a found
You
footage...
mean that Bobcat?
Yeah, that guy.
He made the guy that like tries to shoot what's his face in the face with a shotgun and Scrooged.
Yes, that guy. And that Bobcat Goldthwait. He's transitioned quite successfully to director. And Willow Creek is a horror film. It's not a horror comedy. It's a real horror movie. Found footage horror film. Bigfoot found footage horror movie. And I know you hear that and you assume that it's terrible. All the other Bigfoot found footage horror movies are terrible. But this is the good one. In particular, there is this amazing sequence in the middle of the film. It is an unbroken shot for 15 minutes of the two main characters in their tent listening for noises outside. They think they hear something. Listening and being very, very frightened by what they think may be outside of their tent. Man, that's what the horror genre is all about right there. The fear of the unknown. The balls on Bobcat. Balls. For not cutting away for 15 solid minutes. That is good stuff. Definitely check out Willow Creek. Very good horror film this year. Not for everybody. One of those love it or hate it deals, but very impressed with that one. Our next nominee
is James Gunn for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Hey, it was my turn.
I don't care.
We've liked James Gunn before. Pretty sure I've given him a Phantom already. Yeah, I gave him a Phantom for the screenplay for Super. I loved Super. Super was so good. As I said earlier, James Gunn's aesthetic is deeply entrenched in this film. The whole movie is built upon his style. He made a space opera for people that don't like space operas. Good to Marvel for giving this crazy guy enough money to make this movie and allow it, market it, and make it into the highest grossing film of the year. Our next nominee is Jennifer Kent for The Babadook. Man, is this the first woman that's been nominated for a Phantom for Best Director? Babadook, great looking movie. Total control of the visual presentation in that film. It just really puts you in the mindset of somebody who is exhausted all the time, who doesn't get really any sleep at all. And the whole film has a gray, oppressive tone. Really wonderful looking film, The Babadook. And our final nominee for Best Director is
Christopher Nolan for that movie no one cares
for
about.
Interstellar. Keep saying that. Nolan, though a flawed filmmaker, and I think it's pretty easy to point out the things that he doesn't do as well. The dude is not short on ideas. He is a hugely ambitious filmmaker. Interstellar, amazingly, might be his most ambitious film. This is huge ideas and goes way, way out there and some very far out science fiction concepts. And obviously Nolan's direction is incredibly precise.
But yet we couldn't have Killer Croc in a Batman movie.
Oh, we'll get it eventually. Give me that damn envelope. Oh, okay, I see how it is. Stop touching my envelope.
Here's the envelope, sir.
Thank you, friend. You make this look so easy, JD. The winner for Best Director, The Phantom, goes to... Jennifer Kent for The Babadook. Oh man, I think I just gave my first Phantom to woman for directing. I'm so Kent's direction was great. She is a talent to watch, man. She is going to go some great places. What's our next category there, Mr. Mash?
Best writing.
Best writing. You notice I don't say best screenplay. I'm not a real Hollywood person. I don't know if you noticed. I don't get to read the actual physical screenplays, so I say best writing instead, in case you ever wondered. Our first nominee is
13 Sins.
David Berkey and Daniel Stamm. 13 Sins, a similar movie to Cheap Thrills. A man who is down on his luck, lost his job, has a pregnant wife, gets a strange phone call. He's in his car, there's a fly in the car, and they says, if you fly that fly, we'll give you $100. He doesn't. Then he says, if you eat that fly, we'll give you 500 more. The events slowly escalate in severity until, I'll go ahead and spoil it. Fantastic sequence where somebody strings a middle cord across a highway right as a group of people on motorcycles are crossing it, and oh man, is there some good gore there. I say it's similar to Cheap Thrills, but actually very different in how it progresses in the story. Its tone is different. So our next nominee, again, here it is.
This is The Babadook.
For Jennifer Kent, once again. The writing in this film, I don't want to spoil the ending. The film ends up becoming a spectacular metaphor for surviving a traumatic event and how you deal with that. It says in the beginning of the film, once the Babadook gets in, you can't get rid of it. The film follows through on that, though probably not in the way you're expecting. Our next nominee for Best Writing is
Big Hero 6.
Written by Jordan Roberts, Daniel Gearson, and Robert L. Biard. The screenplay in Big Hero 6 was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was.
It wasn't cutting edge or anything. Maybe it's just me. This movie also becomes a metaphor for letting go of grief. Literally letting go of it in this case. The main character is motivated by a traumatic event that happens to him, the loss of a loved one. Throughout this whole film, he has to work through it, and at the end, he has to let go of that hurt. It's not done in a cheesy way. I know I make it sound really corny, but it's done pretty well, I thought. It didn't get you right in the feels?
Maybe. Maybe a little bit.
Our next nominee is Enemy, written by Javier Gulan, based on a novel by Jose Saramago. Enemy is the other double movie this year. This one stars Jake Gyllenhaal. He plays a very emotionally reserved college professor who watches a movie and notices somebody in the background who looks just like him. And he looks this guy up. It's an actor who lives in the city, and indeed they are exact duplicates of each other. Personality-wise, very, very different. The Double is a dark comedy. Enemy is a very, very strange thriller. It has this paranoid tone that's almost oppressive. Who's crazy? What's going on? Which one of them's real? And the film does not reveal anything, which makes it even more beguiling. The cherry on top of the crazy sundae is lots of completely unexplained giant spider imagery. Giant spiders in this movie, and it does not tell you why the giant spiders are there or what they mean. You gotta figure it out on your own, man. Good performance from Jake Gyllenhaal, too. Enemy is really one that sucks you in. It's a brain teaser for certain.
So is Jake Gyllenhaal. He's one that sucks you in.
What are you suggesting? Our next nominee is The Guest by Simon Barrett. I've always talked a little bit about how this movie switches genres. Something Adam Wingard is really good at. You're Next did the same thing. And this one does even more stuff. Goes from domestic drama to dark comedy to action movie to horror film to horror comedy. I really like the way this one turns the screws on you. It's another one that doesn't reveal everything. It reveals just enough. I like it when a movie treats the audience with respect. Mm-hmm. And our final nominee for Best Writing is
Snowpiercer
by Zhang Ho Bong and Kelly Masterson. We talked a little bit about the metaphor in this film. The haves versus the have-nots. It's to this movie's credit that it takes that setup and doesn't go in a really terse political direction, and instead it makes a crazy action movie. But at the same time, it's a crazy action movie that has room for these emotional moments of pathos.
I wasn't left wanting more. The winner for the Phantom Award for Best Writing is The Tape.
And the winner for Best Writing is
Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
Man, it's been piercing through a lot of these categories.
Great year for film, man. So many good genre films this year. Next up is one of my favorite categories to say. Best Monster, Madman, Creature, Machine, Design, or Concept. Originally, it was just Best Monster. I felt that's not nearly descriptive enough. And this is the category.
It's just called Buffalo, Buffalo, Buffalo,
Buffalo, Buffalo, Buffalo, Buffalo, Buffalo, Buffalo. This is the category devoted to what was the awesome monsters and creatures of this previous year. One of the main things we like about horror and science fiction are the frickin' monsters. Let's not kid ourselves.
Right.
Nominees for the best monsters of the year are
The Babadook.
Again.
From The Babadook.
Did you actually get to where you actually got to see the Babadook himself?
No.
But you know that it is figured with the top hat, beard, and these long fingers and this overcoat. Yeah. An iconic image of what we think of as a boogeyman. And the way it's deployed in the film, see it briefly in glances. You never really get a good look at it as a physical thing. Our next nominee for best monster is
The Bewilder Beast from How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Did you see How to Train Your Dragon 2?
No.
You should see it, man. It's good.
I don't even think I've seen How to Train Your Dragon 1 all the way through.
I like these movies. The Bewilder Beast is really cool because it's a kaiju-sized dragon. Giant white dragon with these giant tusks, breathes ice. Pretty cool, man. Next nominee for Best Monster, Madman, Creature, Machine, Design, or Concept is The Gene Hybrids from Blood Glacier. Blood Glacier is a German horror film. It's not a super great film, but it is notable for its reliance completely on practical creature effects.
Oh, that's awesome.
Similar to The Thing, where a germ that comes out of this glacier as it's melting affects the local wildlife and causes the local wildlife to combine and mutate into these strange things. There's a giant giant goat monster. There's a hawk wasp, human dog hybrid. It's all done with rubber and latex and foam. Cool stuff for monster fans. Our next nominee is
Godzilla and the Mutos from Godzilla.
We talked a lot about Godzilla in our fourth Godzilla episode. Most people listening to this probably heard that. The 1998 Godzilla movie was criticized for creating a Godzilla that really didn't look or act anything like Godzilla as we know him. Mm-hmm. But this Godzilla, he looks different enough that it's a unique design, but it's still Godzilla, man. The Mutos, I thought, were valid inclusion to the Godzilla Rogue Gallery.
Didn't Toho officially accept them?
I don't know if they're officially part of the canon yet, but Toho said, yeah, this movie's cool with us.
Okay.
You know, they're weird that way.
I really like the Muto designs. It's nice, it's fresh, it's clean and streamlined.
Yeah. What's our next nominated monster? The using monster for this is, maybe this falls more on the creature side of things.
Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Have we talked about how much we love Groot?
No.
I really like the way he gets taller, his branches straighten out. Just take the idea of this plant monster tree guy, use it to its full potential. Groot is maybe the most lovable character on this list. Everybody wants to hug that tree, man. They love that tree guy. Our final nominee for Best Monster, well, this falls in the machine design, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And it is
the Retro Sentinels from X-Men Days of Future Past.
How long have we as X-Men fans been wanting to see the Sentinels in a movie?
Since the first one was announced?
Yeah. They're such an iconic part of the universe, especially the retro design, which really looks like what we think of as the Sentinels. This did justice to the Sentinels, I think. Maybe they weren't as enormous and awesome as they could have been, but I thought they were pretty well done.
They were about as close as we were going to get. The Phantom Award for Best Monster, Madman, Creature, Machine, Design, or Concept goes to the tape.
It's pretty monstrous.
I ripped it again, guys. Godzilla and the Mutos from Godzilla.
I think our love for Godzilla is pretty well documented. Our next category, we won't take too long on these. It's frustrating. The first year we did the Phantom Awards, I included a clip from the scores and original songs, but then YouTube just gave me a big fat copyright violation and blocked it in parts of Europe. We're just going to go through these pretty quickly. Next category, Best Use of Music, primarily for score. The nominated films are Grand Piano. Grand Piano is a completely preposterous, absurd thriller. It's basically Phone Booth, remember Phone Booth? But with a piano. Elijah Wood.
Does it actually have a piano and a phone booth?
No, it doesn't.
Because that would be amazing.
Yeah, Elijah Wood is a concert pianist who's come out of retirement.
Hold on, did you say Elijah Wood was a concert pianist?
He is a concert pianist who comes out of retirement.
You're still saying penis, dude.
He's a piano player who comes out of retirement to do a show for the first time when John Cusack puts a rifle on him and says, if you miss a note, I'm going to kill you. That in of itself is a pretty clever, but stupid, but clever premise. But then it gets even more ridiculous when you find out why John Cusack is pointing a sniper rifle at this guy. Alex Winter notably is in this movie too. Good to see Alex Winter.
Snap!
There's a really great shot where somebody gets their throat slit and then the camera cuts to a bow going across a cello. But obviously this is a movie about music. Music plays a big part. Music is used very well in this film. Next nominee for Best Music is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Damn right.
Ooga Chaka. This movie's ignited a...
I'm hooked on a feeling.
This movie has ignited a love of 70s top 10 pop music.
I have the CD.
Yeah.
I'm in love.
Listen to it over and over again. Next nominated film is The Guest. The Guest is another one of these throwback movies that have an all-electronic 80s style, John Carpenter style score. I think anybody who listens to the show knows I love the shit, but also, you know that cheesy-ass song, Because I Love You? Brilliantly used in a scene in this movie. I will say no more. Interstellar, the reason I'm pointing this out is the score actually drives the plot. Main characters are on a planet where time progresses faster than it does orbiting the planet because of gravity, man. The score suddenly, the Hans Zimmer score, becomes a ticking clock, drives up the tension, reminds the audience what's at stake here. So that's why Interstellar's nominated. Only Lovers Left Alive. Did I mention that Tom Hiddleston's vampire as a guitarist? Because he is. Again, music plays a big role in this film, used really well. There's actually some touching scenes where music are involved. And the final film for Best Music is Space Station 76, and I bet you haven't heard of this. What if the 70s prediction of the future came true? All the foibles and psychological problems of the 70s, but in space! Making fun of the space epics of the 70s like 2001: A Space Odyssey, stuff like that. The use of music in this is clever. It just sounds like psychedelic 70s rock music. And if you're familiar with those films, it'll make you chuckle. The winner for Best Use of Music is...
The tape.
The Phantom goes to... Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously.
I knew who was going to win
Yeah,
that
but who else was going to win that category? Come on. Best Original Song. The nominees are the Box Troll song from Box Trolls, cute Monty Python-esque number explaining the whole story behind
I know which one's going to win.
the Box Trolls. What's their second nominee?
Everything is awesome.
From the Lego Movie. This was one of the most infectious pop numbers of the year, I think.
Although there's one better than that from the Lego movie that isn't on there.
Oh, what, the Batman song?
The Batman song.
Darkness. No parents. super rich.
Kind of makes it better.
For the dancing and the dreaming from How to Train Your Dragon 2, this is the romantic theme from that movie. There's a wonderful scene where two characters are dancing and singing, and that's really great. I wasn't a big fan of Muppets Most Wanted, but I did like the one song called Cockatoo in Malibu. I like that song. Stage Fright was an attempt to make a slasher film musical. It was a failed attempt. One thing that's clever about it, though, is the killer has like a heavy middle scream. Clever. The name of the song is The Middle Killer's Revenge. That's a good number in that. Is Moonlight Desires from Wolf Cop. Wolf Cop is a movie about a cop who's also a werewolf. There's a sequence where the wolf man makes love with his love interest, and this is the song that plays over it, and it is a perfect parody of 80s cop movie love ballads.
And the winner is... Everything is awesome.
Yeah,
the Lego movie.
That was a foregone conclusion, wasn't it?
Yep.
Before we can go on to Best Picture, we have to take a turn and look at the worst pictures of the year. Though this was a great year for genre film in general, especially a great year for the summer blockbuster, there were a lot of bad horror movies this year. There were so many shitty theatrical release horror films. At the top of the list is Annabelle. Now, it's really a shame. Last year, they actually nominated the Annabelle doll from The Conjuring as one of the best monsters of the year because it was the creepiest thing about that movie. The whole movie about that has potential, but every cliche, every studio horror cliche you can expect, super lame ending, no tension, sequences in the movie that really have nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
Is it the director, James Wan or whatever?
No, James Wan didn't direct this one. This was directed by...
Maybe that was the problem.
Maybe. I don't know, but Annabelle sucked. Did you see As Above, So Below? This was the found footage movie in the Paris catacombs.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, again, super generic studio horror movie, just all the expected beats, absolute unforgivable schlock. Speaking of unforgivable schlock...
Leprechaun Origins?
Man.
The definition of the low-budget straight-to-DVD movie?
Why would you remake Leprechaun? Why would you do it without Warwick Davis? And then why would you remake it? This film has nothing to do with any of the previous Leprechaun movies. This is a WWE movie. They cast fucking Hornswoggle, the midget wrestler, as Leprechaun. They don't have him in the green suit making rhymes and shit. The Leprechaun is a pink, hairless gorilla in this. It's a generic movie monster. And this is a generic monster movie. Ugh, fucking hated that. Mr. Jones. It's one of the more disappointing films. This one actually had some potential. Another found footage film. I know we're all sick of those. Creepy scarecrows about an outsider artist who maybe is practicing some arcane rites, but man, it gets tiresome before the end. This one really tries your patience. The last half hour of this movie is torturous, and not in like a good way. Ouija. Is there any better definition for what the lame studio horror movie is in 2014 than the fucking Ouija board movie?
Ouija?
It's pronounced Ouija, alright? And to be totally honest, I didn't see all this film. I watched the first 15 minutes. It was late at night, and I said, this is not worth my time. And then finally, our last nominee is the remake of an Australian film called Patrick. Jump scare every 5 minutes. Which is a shame, because it had a good cast. Sharni Vincent is like, man, don't you hate that?
Sorry, I'm watching that movie.
Yeah, it's shitty. Anyway, so the worst picture is...
And the golden ass goes to...
You just wrecked it, man.
Leprechaun Origins, or Leprechaun.
Oh, did I misspell it?
No.
Oh, okay. That's just how it's spelled. Leprechaun. That is how it's spelled. Anyway, yeah, that was a shitty movie. Before we get to our final category, then I just want to talk about some of the honorary awards. Lifetime Achievement Award. We do this every year. We honor somebody in the genre whom we love. Let everybody know. I've been doing this for 13 years. Christopher Lee, Roger Corman. Don't think I'm overlooking them. They have honorary awards. The recipients of the Lifetime Achievement Award this year is Max von Sydow from Everything, The Exorcist, Flash Gordon, Judge Dredd. That's a bad example. Conan the Barbarian. Was there any classic 70s, 80s genre film that this dude isn't in? You know who I'm talking about, right? Father Merrin in The Exorcist?
Ah. I knew what you're talking about.
He's in his 90s now, and he's still kicking. He's going to be in the next Star Wars movie. He is still doing his thing.
He's playing the little Jedi, because he should.
The Seventh Seal, the movie where the guy plays chess with death, that they made fun of in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. He's in that, too. He's the knight in that. He's the guy playing chess with death. And our second recipient of a Lifetime Achievement Award is Elkie Summers. Now, do you know Elkie Summers? Okay, well, she was in many of the films of Mario Bava in the 70s. Lisa and the Devil was maybe her best performance. She's one of those great 70s European scream queens. And she doesn't really do a lot of stuff anymore. She kind of disappeared at some point. I don't know what she's up to now. Love Elkie Summers. Comparable to Barbara Steele, I think. The blonde to Barbara Steele's brunette. The Betty to Barbara Steele's Veronica. Our second honorary category is the Rising Talent Award. And tonight's Rising Talent Award goes to Anna Lily Amirpour for A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. And this has the most pretentious log line of any film this year. It is a film made by an Iranian filmmaker with an all-Iranian cast in America. It's a black and white vampire skateboard western. And I know what that sounds like. Interesting film, though. This is one that sticks with you. It has some pretty indelible moments. And it is the indiest of the indie movie. This movie just came out of nowhere. How can you not check that out, man? Who doesn't want to see the Iranian skateboard vampire western? It reminded me a lot of a movie from the 70s called Incubus with William Shatner. And where it just puts you in this very...
Oh boy, that's a great one to compare it to get people to watch it.
It is, though. And as this is the Rising Talent Award, this filmmaker is going to do some equally interesting things. Her next movie is going to have cannibals in it, so right there. And then the Special Visual Achievement Award this year goes to the movie that has visuals in it that just blow me away and impress me. It goes to The Tale of Princess Kaguya, which is a Japanese animated film. This is from Asao Takahata, which is the other guy from Studio Ghibli, not Miyazaki. This is his last film, done as if it was an ancient Japanese woodcutting brought to life. It almost looks like a painting that's starting to move. And it has this visual style that's very different from anything else this year. Bamboo cutter opens up a piece of bamboo. Inside is a baby, and this baby grows up to be a princess. But also, there's people from the moon, because it's Japan.
So, the best picture.
Yes, Award of the Night. Best sci-fi horror or fantasy film from 2014. Definitively, I don't care what anybody else says.
The nominees are The Babadook,
The Double,
Godzilla,
Guardians of the Galaxy,
Interstellar,
Snowpiercer.
Could I get a drum roll, please?
It'll take a while because you're fooling with the tape. That's your drum roll. The Golden Phantom for Best Picture is...
The Babadook.
Well, you were hoping it would be Guardians?
Or Godzilla.
I liked Godzilla, but Babadook was my favorite movie of the year, man, and if you see the rest of it, I think you'll agree with me. So anyway, that was the Phantom Awards.
Woo!
It's over now. You don't have to do this again for another year. I mean, the Phantom Awards, not recording.
Yes.
If we stop doing the show for some reason, if, like, JD gets killed, I will probably keep doing the Phantom Awards. But even if JD doesn't die, and the show just ends for whatever reason, because, I don't know, I get a really demanding job. One of us has a kid, for some reason.
It'll just be the gravy.
It'll just be the gravy. So that was the Phantom. If you have any feedback on the Phantom Awards, feel free to email us at bangersandmash88@yahoo.com. That's the word bangers. That's the letter N. That's the word mash. That's the number 88@yahoo.com. We're on Facebook, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Under the Bangers and Mash show.
Yep. I'm on Twitter @LastMonsterKid. We want to give a shout out to all the great fan feedback we got in 2014. Somebody on YouTube, going by the screen name of Monkismo, has given us some feedback on some episodes. Thank you, Monkismo.
I pronounce it Monkey Smo.
Monkey Smo?
I don't know why, but that's...
Monkey Smo.
That's what it looks like to me.
Now we've got people who give us feedback on the Facebook group, like Lee and Ziriad. We have people who give us feedback on my blog, like Wit. We have people who give us feedback on YouTube.
Feedback.
Did I say faceback? I said fuck.
No, you didn't say fuck. You said faceback.
People who give us feedback on YouTube. And then we even have a couple listeners, friends of ours, who give us feedback in person. And thank you, all of you. God bless us, everyone. And here's to another year of Bangers and Mash. Woo! Woo! That's it. We're done!
Oh, God, I'm going home now. No.